players like Xiaoxu could get a good opportunity to play one of those maybe more unorthodox picks, seeing more standard bans across the board though. See the Orianna, the Naafiri, the Ezreal taken away from JDG. Things like the Cassio and Syndra also flexible to the bottom lane.
We currently have the Jarvan and the Nocturne as two of the big jungle power players still on the table. With the Orianna gone, it means that the Nocturne's a bit less incentivized, but also you're very rarely going to ever see both of those champions let through at the same time. Usually we do get Orianna and Naafiri paired up. That is a strong option to immediately slam for HongQ if he's going to just take it to match the Rise. Technically a flex. We have seen it play 3 roles this split so far. That one, we have only seen 1 role so far, and it's probably going to be Vampire locking it in, which does line Gala up for a Ziggs game. Will WE opt to try and take that away? We haven't really seen much Camille with a non-mage thus far.
Camille top lane always still in play as well. Xiaoxu, I don't know exactly his historical pick ban on that champion in the win rate there, but definitely is generally a champion that players in the top lane know what they're doing with as well. Would love to see Vampire pilot the Camille though. Would be really fun to see a player like him get that opportunity. Still some flexibility available for JD Gaming's composition. WE going to follow things up with a Rumble. They are looking much more towards comfort here in this first game.
And I would be incredibly surprised if we don't just see a Jarvan picked up next to it. If you get the hot bot duo, you take the hot bot duo. That's kind of just the way it works in draft. I could maybe see pivoting to something like a Xin, but I don't see much reason not to. You're having a mobile mage on the enemy team. Doesn't matter which role that Anivia's playing. I want to see them Cataclysmed. I want to see them toasted. This is a different option. Actually just looking to take away the Varus. We've seen that as lethality quite a few times thus far. It matches the mages in a way that you can still be poke and play at long range. But I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of just slamming a mobile ADC into Camille Anivia, even if it will be playing at long range. I'm not sure if I'm happy with that when Ziggs is on the table.
Yeah, Vampire's feeling pretty good about his target availability here so far through this first phase of pick ban. K'Sante here to round out our first phase of this draft. Most likely signaling a mid lane Anivia and a support Camille. So not a ton of flexibility options left available unless we get really weird in here entering the second phase of bans.
Could always happen. Haunting prospect to think about the Anivia bot lane with Camille. You know, you could put down the wall and she could hookshot off it, but no. More realistically, I'm expecting to see a Jarvan ban next from JDG at the moment, but opting to say, alright, let's get Xiaoxu a safe pick into the Rumble, considering you could just ban away the Ornn and the K'Sante here, as we do actually see WE banning away the Jarvan, which, I mean, it would work nicely for them as well, but I wouldn't say it's as coherent stylistically. We do see the Vayne knocked out on the weird chance that we see this Rumble flexed to support, which I believe is something we've seen Erha in particular do. I would need to double check that. We've definitely seen it move to support before, though.
Puzzling that they're really confident in that. Maybe they saw something in a scrim or something or other that would have led them to believe that. Erha, former mid laner in the LDL, so definitely has the ability to play the more mechanically minded champions, but of course not going to be the Vayne this time around. See what JDG want to lock in here. The Vi gets a really nice dive buddy alongside the Camille. JunJia and Vampire could be a very powerful mid-jungle support duo, impacting the map early here.
And leaving it all up in the air for Gala, I mean, I joked about the potential of an Anivia Camille bot lane. Currently, that is still on the table. We haven't seen any indication that they're worried about Gala having a pick. The Ziggs is open, and I think WE are kind of just planning around that at this point. If you have something, I would prefer the Nautilus if you're expecting it, that can jump onto it. Okay. That's a solution. It works nicely into skirmishing the Vi early. It's very good at shredding the K'Sante when he is kind of being that frontliner, so don't mind it, but I do think right now WE are kind of lacking for that reliable hard crown control. I wouldn't mind a Naut or an Alistar now at this point, just something that can disrupt the dive of the Camille and the Vi, and then allow the Trundle to shred them with the team. So yeah, that's pretty good.
I think either one would have worked pretty well. but it will be the Alistar locked in for Erha. He's going to get an opportunity to roam around the map just a little bit, and Monki, a player that really has prioritized this Trundle throughout the last couple of years, one of the first pioneers of this pick back in 2025 Split 2. Final lock-in for Gala, going to be that Ziggs. Ziggs Camille, a very common iteration of this mage, plus more engaged, more roaming support style. And Gala is a pretty good Ziggs player, so I think all in all, a good draft so far for JDG.
I'm still honestly a little bit shocked that WE would just leave the Ziggs open the whole time and not force Gala to play a different mage bot laner, considering he's really only shown that killer instinct proficiency on the Ziggs. He's played the Mel, but not very well. The Kai'Sa is something that I was getting a little excited about. I was excited. I was like, oh boy, Gala, Kai'Sa, and it was stripped away from me immediately. So maybe in Game 2, but this is kind of what we've seen for the LPL wider drafts, is Game 1 there's mages, Game 2 probably not. So, and I say mages, Ziggs and Syndra are really the only two that get that kind of credence.
Yeah, until these players learn a couple more mages, once Fearless hits, those champions no longer available, then they got to go back to the old trite but true. Actually, for About, he's playing a marksman to start things off as well, although, as you mentioned it, the lethality Varus does play a bit like a mage in its ability to dish out a lot of long-range damage. Team WE have a very good opportunity to make something happen here in this series, get a win over a top-tier contender in Group Ascend, and start this season off 1-1. We're on to the Rift here in Shenzhen for Game 1 of WE and JDG.
Look at Monki.
Already seeing an early plays. Erha goes for the flash, pulverize. HongQ getting ticked very low as Monki goes in for the flank. They're going to pop the egg. They're going to get a kill into the hands of this Trundle. Team WE off to the races here in game number 1. They force a flash from About on the other side, but Monki's going to be very happy with how this early game has begun.
Good flash from About there. You really don't want to be having to TP back to lane this immediate, considering Vampire's just going to look to do that again in a few seconds. But that was the thing we talked about before the draft actually got underway, that whichever one of these junglers gets a stronger level 1 champion, expect them to do something. Was I thinking it would be an invade rather than catching HongQ in the mid lane? Yes, but a really good set play from WE. Gets their jungler off to a lead. Didn't even have to burn the Trundle's flash.
Yeah, if anything, it was JDG going for perhaps a bit over-aggressive of an invade, knowing that they had the weaker level 1 in terms of the damage that each jungler was able to provide. Trundle with the Chomp, one of the most powerful champions just to duel early on in the game. And he clearly showed it there. And again, as we mentioned, Monki on this Trundle really was a pioneer on the champion back about a year ago, and now he gets his hands on it once again in a very good situation, I would say, for this pick.
Considering you're now an Anivia without Egg, without Flash, and I'm pretty certain also without TP, it's terrifying to have to push the wave up. So I think this is really good by HongQ to just try and freeze the wave, keep it pushed into him, and make sure he's not extending really past that midpoint. We have reached the typical roam timer of a Camille support, who is now top lane.
At level 2, because that's what the meta kind of requires at this point. We saw Xiaoxu go for a proxy, then going to rejoin JunJia around the enemy blue buff. Cube's going to be forced to jump back in here. It'll be an unofficial 4v3 around this blue buff. It's already secured by JunJia, but now Xiaoxu could be in trouble. Monki flashes after the Cassante, will be able to get kill number 2, and now Erha has arrived to the fight, finds the knockup onto 2, and HongQ does not have that egg any longer. It's an early killing spree here for Monki as that Troll King is feeling good.
That is what we wanted to see from WE, and it was the thing that TES did a really scary job of matching them early game. JDG, as expected from how they played against AL, weren't holding up that early pressure. They go for the invade, but again, you are just holistically weaker champions. If you're going to leave, you need to leave together. They just leave Xiaoxu out to dry, and now there's not really any counterplay. I mean, About is getting starved off of XP, but for God's sake, it's the bot lane role. Who cares about that currently? It's 2026.
Taking a look at this, JDG felt like they were just able to brute force with their numbers, but Cube had a really nice trade onto Xiaoxu, and WE just target selected better.
I think if they all walk out as 4 and Xiaoxu goes with them, maybe there's an angle, but Erha was on point with the roam up and kind of made the exit play impossible for all members of JDG. And the thing is, normally you want to be roaming at level 3 as a support, because now the XP limiter is gone. You can leave the support role, well, bot lane, realistically, and you won't be punished on, like, diminishing returns for XP. So you can leash a little bit off the mid, leash a little bit off the top. But the main gimmick is you leave at level 3, go, let your bot laner get solo XP, and then come back around 8 minutes, and you'll pretty much skyrocket up to level 6 off of catch-up XP. Erha taking a bit more lane approach, staying here and trying to guarantee about a bit more pressure in the lane, whereas Vampire doing the expected and being anywhere but the bot role.
Why be in the bot lane when you can be anywhere else? It's been the new motto these days for specifically champions like the Camille support. Obviously was popularized by some of the top tier players in the world, but now others picking it up like Vampire. Of course, Vampire on WE just a year ago, right? With these guys, Cube, Monki, and Karis. Didn't end up making it very far in split number 3, and I'm sure both of these guys end up remembering that. Perhaps Vampire going to try to make sure that the same thing happens to his former teammates.
I always love it when there's kind of a repercussion of all the roster swapping being this facing off against somebody who you've sat in a call with and played tons of stage games together. Karis being looked at by his former support, but not much to happen here if we're being quite honest. There is the Anivia wall hook shot combo that I've now said about 3 times, because it's going to be really funny when it happens. It's not amazing, but it will be really funny when it happens. And both of these teams have kind of fallen into a bit of a lull. Monki farming up a storm. He is getting quite close to an early Triforce. He is going to be a really terrifying troll at that point. And looking to try and get that level 6 point before rushing down the dragon or looking for further ganks. Vampire, though, maybe a bit far up. Even on the Camille.
He thinks he's unspotted around Monkey's red buff, and he's going to be in for a rude awakening as Monki will face check him and try to hunt him down as well. Hook shot going to get canceled and force the flash from Vampire. Now JunJia's gone over the wall himself. He actually has level 6 before Monki does, just based off of the farm that he's been able to generate. It means that he's going to be a-okay, as JDG have been able to stabilize things over the last few minutes.
JunJia did have to flash out there because he queued forward, attempting to keep a play going, but seeing Vampire immediately flash out was like, I'm going to get one shot by Trundle even if I am a level up. So losing the flash on the Vi does limit some of that playmaking, keeps About and Karis in particular a bit safer. We haven't really acknowledged top lane, so do you all do that for like 10 seconds or so before we go back to looking at Dragon?
They're farming. Anyway, Dragon's getting started by JDG.
Yep, and that is going to be the Hextech Dragon, a really, really solid one-off Dragon. It does limit some of the soul potential, leaving things like the Chemtech on the table, which, I mean, would be pretty okay for WE. You have a Trundle for healing, and you have a couple champions that will get quite low in a fight, but let's see what we get next. Mountain. Okay.
A nice pickup here for JD Gaming. Again, they did not want to have this game snowball out of control, making sure that they are at least able to scale a little bit later on into the game with the help of that soul denial will be very nice. Gala and HongQ, of course, going to be big threats in terms of their DPS as we progress in this matchup.
Oh god, the flanking cow is here, JunJia. This is not your jungle, as we do have a really good play from WE to just force in and starve this Vi of farm. Now, the obvious counterplay that we're looking to see is JunJia running bot and diving the Varus. And so we see Erha, excellent, just backs immediately and runs to bot. Will it be enough to hold the pressure, though? I'm not 100%.
A little bit too little, too late. No teleports here to defend the WE80 carry either. There's a cease and desist. Hookshot comes in. JunJia gets JD Gaming on the board here in this series, and about ends up having nothing to do down in the bottom side.
So we do really need to see Monki get something else done. Ideally these grubs. Because, again, denying it from Ziggs is massive. You don't have a lot of people who are going to be pressuring towers when you're against an Anivia and a Ziggs. You don't often get that much face time hitting a tower. So, in a way, it means a lot more, but if you do get to hit a tower once, it's going to get ravaged by some of those Void Grubs, as there won't really be a meaningful contest from JDG.
All three going to be pretty beneficial, not only for WE to push their own towers, but also to deny JDG from having it in their own hands. When you have a Ziggs, the Void Grubs become even more important, just to add to that pushing power. JDG know it and try to continue to snowball this bottom lane. About just returning to a lane. Does have his flash this time, but not sure if he's able to get out from this one. Vampire goes forward with Hookshot and forces that summoner spell, which will once again be on cooldown for About.
And that was another one of those instances where JunJia not having the flash means he can't just follow up with the flash Vault Breaker to hold the Varus still long enough for Gala to pretty much 100-0 them off of basic abilities at this point. So, it's a trade. It means About's going to continue to be suffering down here in the bottom lane. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if he picks up some Ionian boots in the not-too-distant future just to get that flash and TP cooldown a bit lower.
Reduce the amount of time between dives, I guess. Could be.
It's one of the best items if you're getting weak-sided.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're behind as well. By the time you get to a couple items on the Varus, your goal is just to be a bit of a nuisance, right? Throughout those piercing arrows, poke, clear waves, and having that extra cooldown reduction could certainly help out. Vampire is still level 5 at the 10-minute mark in this game, showing you just how much he has been roaming around the map. Has been able to contribute to 1 kill, maybe looking for a second now on to Cube. Xiaoxu misses the Antofo strikes, and Cube's going to be able to clear this wave out fine enough. And Vampire just kind of going about his merry way here in the topside jungle.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the Camille is definitely strongest relatively in the early levels, but once they pick up the Sundered Sky, they are quite durable, because between that and the support item, they basically get to be a 2-item bruiser way ahead of the curve. We do actually have About getting rotated up to top lane. I think this is WE trying to call for matching tower plates at this point, because we do have Gala just getting to free hit on the bot lane tower, so it's a bit of a weird play. If they don't 100-0 this tower, I don't really see the point, because, yeah,
Tower's gone on the bottom lane, by the way. Gala's
Yeah,
going to throw out a satchel, and it's going to be gone. Yep, that's first turret going the way of JD Gaming, who have taken the gold lead very significantly. WE feel like they're losing a lot for this play on the top side.
Yeah, there's so many people there, which means the plates are giving incredible amounts of resists over. I mean, it's fine, but HongQ's also going to be tapping on the mid lane tower, so it's whatever. I mean, it basically equalizes the... That's funny. That's really funny. It's going to equalize the gold, but it's not really a notable lead in either direction just yet.
JD Gaming very much got themselves back into the game after that disastrous first 5 minutes. And now you take a look at the items. First ones completed for players like JunJia, like Gala. It's going to be very important for potential future fights, most notably around this dragon spawning in about 15 seconds. And they might already get themselves a numbers advantage as Cube is a bit out of position. He sniffs something out and will end up backing away, though. Good job by Cube to notice that, hey, the rest of JDG is not here. I'm going to back on out. You know who's not here is Xiaoxu, who's going to try to fight things out in a 1v2. Goes all out on the Monki, who's already popped the subjugate, and there's no tower for Xiaoxu to retreat to, which means that this dive could continue to be easier. Monki, he flashes over the Q3 to absolutely guarantee he gets another kill into his hands. The Trundle is on a rampage as he has all 4 of WE's kills.
I also want to give some incredible credit over to Monki there. That pillar means that Xiaoxu wouldn't have been able to all out in a favorable way to just escape the play altogether. So even without Karis flashing, I think that that's still an incredibly winning play. It does mean that you lose the dragon, though. So with Soul Point, it's Chemtech Soul. Is it the biggest thing in the world if JDG get that? It's good for Cassante. It's like, it's really good for Cassante if you end up getting over to Chemtech Soul. But I don't think you're really that upset if you're WE at this point. The tenacity is decent, but most of your CC is either knockups or slows. So I think that, honestly, this is one of those games where WE aren't going to be that upset about having to contest being 2 Dragons down when it comes to Soul Point. They may even look for some potential Baron rushes later instead.
Now, I'm happy for, if you're a WE fan, I'm happy that, your carries get, your captain, I guess, is getting the majority of the gold right now, but in terms of the allocation of resources, might not be the best to have Monki have all 4 kills, when instead somebody like Karis could maybe benefit by having a bit more damage at this point. He's already chunked down to half HP, and Erha, forced to pop the Unbreakable Will, should be able to survive with the Glacial Storm, slowing him down. Vampire potentially looking for a re-engage, but no longer has the Hextech Ultimatum. Have the Herald spawning in 30 seconds, and both sides feel like they want to contest.
Really nice little save coming out from the WE support, but I think he's going to need to do it again.
Shot away, nicely cancelled again by the Pillar of Sludge by Monki, making sure that Vampire has to burn his flash. Another key summoner spell down for the primary engager of JD Gaming.
He has been completely on it with these pillars to cancel the Camille E's out. It's a really narrow window to be able to do it, considering that the Camille can just choose to reactivate it slightly later, but damn. Yep, you can see that this is the guy that brought Trundle back into prevalence in the region. Oh my lord, as now he is looking to get onto this other purple objective, which against double control mages is really good if you have Rift Herald to break open that mid-tier one.
Monki and WE already have 3 grubs. Can they get even more pushing power in the Rift Herald? It'd be a tough play now that Erha has been chunked down to 40%, and he does not have that ultimate. Be a very squishy support. If anybody else from JDG lands a combo onto him, that's going to force WE to back away and defend the mid lane tower instead.
And you see that JDG is rightfully aware that if they lose this Herald, they're going to get their mid lane tower chunked down. That means they're only one poor play off of losing it. And for Ziggs and Nivea in particular, these champions aren't mobile. If you leave them in a long lane, it's not good. Oh my god, Cube's in.
Yeah, they really want to fight for this one. Both top laners teleporting forward, and remember, Vampire has no summoner spells, he has no ulti, he should burn down, but Monki dies first! In they go, Erha eventually gonna flash forward, find the knockup on the HongQ, and forcing him to flash away. Everybody's still healthy so far in this fight. Karis goes forward with a Realm Warp, immediately gets hit up by a stun. Rune Prison lands on JunJia, about suddenly getting targeted here by Xiaoxu, while Cube takes Gala down on the other side. It's a 2 for 2 so far, with JDG still looking to push forward, and Xiaoxu at full HP forces a flash away from the Rumble. At the end of the day, nobody going to be able to get the Herald just yet, but JunJia's still alive for JDG, and that is where he will go back to.
It's 2 for 2, but I would say the JDG definitely killed the 2 more important people. It's going to be rewarded with a free Herald in the pocket off the back of it. And the thing is, we have Cube TP in, but he immediately overheats, so he can't lay down the equalizer. And with the focus fire coming down from JDG to take out Monki immediately, they just kind of get to win off the back of the control mages stalling and Xiaoxu rejoining the fight. I don't love this from Karis to go in. I wouldn't mind if the whole team had committed to follow, but they didn't. It's kind of a blessing that Cube was able to get Gala on the other side, along with blowing the Ziggs' flash.
I feel like it's something that we've seen from Karis. At times, he can be very, very good in these team fights when he finds flanks, but sometimes when the angle isn't right, he'll force the play anyway, and it results in things like that happening. Fortunately for Team WE, they weren't able to secure the Rift Herald, and now they're going to have to potentially defend a Soul Point Dragon in 30 seconds that JDG would love to take for themselves.
It's one thing to be down 2 dragons if you have more of the purple objectives and you can threaten some gold increases that you can use to really leverage pressure around the Baron. Without having those things, it feels really bad. I like this one, Monki, though.
Yeah, another really nice Pillar of Filth forces JunJia to dash away, still holding on to the Subjugate as Erha looking to continue the chase. Empowered Blast Cone not going to be used here in an aggressive manner. Instead, Team WE will back over to the Dragon, and with JunJia once again forced to retreat mid, it should be WE at least evening that Dragon count a little bit. They will deny the Soul Point, at least momentarily. The cost will be JDG cracking open this mid-tier 1.
It goes incredibly low, but there is Ziggs in the game, so the tower's not long for this world at any given point. This is a quite intimidating chase from WE when you consider the fact that both of your immobile control mages are currently without flash. So WE is itching to try and force a play right now before those cooldowns come back up. The Baron is going to be spawning in a minute. Unfortunately, because of how that series of play went, there's a lot of JDG vision in the top side of WE. So I don't think it's really feasible for them to look for a Baron rush, even if their damage is, on the scale of things, pretty decent.
Probably need a couple more items here, although we are getting closer there for our main carries on JD Gaming side. HongQ almost has that fully completed Rod of Ages. Gala with the Shadow Flame going to do a ton of burst specifically to these backline members of WE. Karis and About have to watch out for the Ziggs, especially when he can do things like that. Throw a W over to that tier 1 tower and get a nice chunk of gold back over to his team, as JDG are now up 1.5k.
Gala is the gold lead for all intents and purposes, and being ahead with mage items is scary, especially when you have the Camille and you have the Vi to combo. The JDG comp is very coherent. It makes sense. You have Xiaoxu to just keep away the divers, and then the other two lock people in place for the control mages to hold them down, but Monki hunting again.
Erha Hex flashes over, finds a knock-up onto Vampire, but he hook shots away to safety. Nice Realm Warp comes in from Karis to try to hunt down JunJia, and they find the shutdown as the kill goes into the hands of Monki. Egg already procced, and HongQ will be scrambled. About gets the kill, and with a 3v5 advantage, WE will make their way towards the Baron.
And this is the pressure that AL wasn't putting on JDG. I said that they need to do something before those immobile mage cooldowns come off. And they do it. They find the window to punish HongQ, to punish JunJia overstepping. They're going to be rewarded with a Baron. Xiaoxu gets a lot of gold in the bottom lane. So it's not entirely winning, but they're going to be very happy off the back of that, especially if they can knock down a couple of these towers and force the control mages back. Let's see how it started.
On multiple angles here, right? It's Erha with a nice engage on the HongQ with the help of Chain of Corruption, and then Karis Realm Warps over to allow Monki to take down JunJia.
It's all very clean cut. They see the overextension and they do not hesitate to punish it. That is what WE does when they're playing in that playoffs kind of form. When they are playing together, following the calls of the 5-1 Trundle. So, we now have a lot of posturing around the bottom lane. WE looking to punish that, but they are now well aware that Anivia and Ziggs have their flashes again. It is matched, though, by the fact that every single flash in the game is up, so we're going to get another completely ridiculous double flash forward fight any minute now with the siege going down.
Good thing for WE with the Baron power play is that they haven't taken a lot of turrets yet, which means there's a lot of standing gold left on the map, most notably in the mid and bot lane. They've already claimed the bot lane tier 1 turret. Could be looking for mid and a whole lot more as Gala is forced to satchel charge away, but won't be able to escape from the hands of Monki. Vampire melting as well, but maybe WE went a little bit too far forward. Xiaoxu gets a shutdown onto the Trundle, and Erha has to flash away. The tower was not killed, and that means that JDG had a good set of defenses to fall back upon. Now they can look to go forward a little bit more. JunJia goes in with the Vault Breaker, trying to slow down this Alistar. Finds the knock him about, still does a bunch of damage, but the cow still ends up going down. Teleport in from Cube, trying to find a return kill, and Karis is entering the fight with the Realm Warp as well. Will be a 3v5. Karis flashes in, doesn't find the Rune Prison on to JunJia, but instead will look to focus down HongQ. Cube goes way too far forward. The tower will go down, but it comes at the cost of the Rumble's life. JunJia still will be able to escape, and WE have overextended mightily. Xiaoxu comes in off of the reset, takes the kill down onto About, and Karis is stuck in a 1v4. He's able to get one. He's able to have the shield be popped, but HongQ in a Glacial Storm will secure an unofficial ace for JDG.
Just too far forward. I hope we get a replay back to the start of that, but I don't know if we'll have the time because the dragon is up in 20 seconds. JunJia's on the other half of the map, and with how W have been playing so far, I wouldn't be surprised if they want to start it. Okay, here we go. Just watch Monki. Mega Blast Cone in, immediately flashes onto Gala, puts the pillar down, and even with Vampire trying to use that Camille ult to peel, it's not enough. However, he only killed one guy. and there's 2 control mages, and the Cassandre, who's quietly been just grabbing up all the gold in the game. Xiaoxu was astounding for the team yesterday, and he is holding his weight, with now being the one that is 2.1k gold ahead of the Rumble.
Can't even watch the back end of that fight. What matters most is that everybody has respawned and the dragon is once again available. Could be soul point for JDG, but they're already getting chunked mightily into the pit. Vampire's down to 30%. Erha finds a 2-man pulverize, and HongQ is dangerously out of position. About ends up landing the final blow, and Xiaoxu's not long for this world either. A double kill for the Korean ADC of Team WE, and they're not looking for the dragon, they're looking for even more. Monki forces JunJia to use the Vault Breaker away, and the target instead will be the tier 2 turret in mid.
Listen, I know if WE end up winning this game, Monki's probably getting MVP, but Erha deserves some major votes, because he has found so many of the pivotal engagers that have broken the double control mage line of JDG. He has been able to get around the peel, get into the backline, and disrupt the fight that has allowed WE to invoke pure chaos where they thrive.
Team WE win another fight off of the back of their support. Erha finds the knockup allowance for those 2 kills to go down, and now WE can retreat after taking that mid lane inhibitor back to the dragon to even the count up if they want to. Perhaps instead they feel safer going for a reset, getting some extra gold into their pockets, and after those items are completed, make their way back to the Chemtech Drake.
With only a minute and 20 seconds left on the Baron spawn, I don't think WE's even that scared. It's Anivia Ziggs. Anivia does decent Baron damage, but that's about it. They really don't have to respect JDG around the Baron at all. So playing as patiently as they want to until they then proceed to jump in and pull the triggers all over. We do have Gala having his flash up in about 40 seconds, give or take. HongQ, he's still got 2 minutes on his, so we do need to keep an eye on those 2 key cooldowns and on the cow Erha, who has been hunting them relentlessly.
It's been a really fun opening game in this best of 3 between 2 teams, WE and JDG, each with a lot to prove. Team WE wanting to prove that their Split 2 playoffs was not a fluke, that they are deserving of a spot in the top 3 or 4. JDG trying to prove that their disappointing exit in the Split 2 playoffs was a fluke, and that they are still here to play as one of the top teams that we have here in the league. Right now, WE have been winning some of these crucial team fights, but the game is certainly not over just yet. We have Baron spawning in 20 seconds, and WE currently have good positioning around it, but the team fighting here for JDG can still continue to come online. We see that 3rd item now completed in the Void Staff for Gala. We're seeing more for Xiaoxu as well with the Kanik Rooker, and going to be very hard for anybody to take the Cassandre down.
And the thing is about these 2 teams' journeys, they both lost to TES and then were eliminated by BLG in the playoffs. So they both have those same chips on the shoulder. They understand the pain of last Split's playoffs, but they are completely different in the way they are approaching this game, as Monki is dangerously far up right now.
Oh, look at him just hunt down JunJia in that 1v1. The equalizer is beautiful right now. Out of cube, it forces everybody from JDG to just run the other way and allow their jungler to be the sacrificial lamb. It's a 4v5 now on the map, as WE can now retreat to the Baron, or maybe even look for more. It's a teleport coming in for Xiaoxu, but he's going to be incredibly isolated. Vampire goes forward, finds the ultimatum on him out. They're able to shut the Varus down, and that will be a big kill with the help of Gala, who landed the Mega Inferno Bomb, but it comes at the cost of 2 more members of JD Gaming. Xiaoxu and Vampire both go down, and there's no AD carry, but there's still a rise, a rumble, and a lot of damage for WE to take their 2nd Baron of the game.
And once again, Erha is just holding the mages at bay. They don't want to walk forward into this. And even though they have minions knocking on the inhib tower bot, neither of them invest the teleport to go down and finish off that turret to threaten an inhib. I think that was realistically one of the only plays you could potentially fish for there, but feeling supremely pressured on the map is JDG. And we're going to see the replay. I want you to just watch what Monki does at the start of it, because it was some of the most audacious League of Legends I have ever seen. And I can't believe not only did it work, but I can't believe that JDG just stood there and watched it happen.
It's a very good game from Monki on this Trundle. And yeah, JDG kind of feeling like they're losing their minds a little bit, right, Melvin? I mean, I don't know. It didn't feel like that was necessarily the right play for them to go forward. Just a teleport straight into the middle of everybody for Xiaoxu.
Desperation.
They end up killing the Varus, but everybody else on WE still ends up surviving. Now they have the Baron buff for the next 2 minutes and are already into JDG's base.
Kill him!
Here, they're gonna have to make something happen here.
They're
just too scared to try to go forward.
He's just standing there menacingly.
Oh, might end up getting punished now, though. He doesn't end up popping the subjugate. It will be a one-shot, but it comes at the cost of the opposing jungler, so still a 1-for-1. Erha has the Unbreakable Will. He flashes over the wall as we finally see JDG pull the trigger, but it still comes at the cost of JunJia.
And if they pulled the trigger slightly quicker...
Xiaoxu, onto a bounce, finds the Atofo strikes, what a play! Here to try and re-engage for JD Gaming. They get the kill onto the Varus. Now Karis is getting hit up by the ultimatum. Another knock-up from Xiaoxu will make it 3 kills here for JD Gaming. That is exactly what you were looking for, Melvin.
Escaping with murder is JDG from that play. Just punishing Monki's sheer audacity. I don't care if he has Merc Treads and a Spirit Visage. He's not invincible. It's still Trundle, for God's sake. Like, this isn't a champion that has some ridiculous passive that means they suddenly just don't die. Look, he's just standing there. He should not be getting away with this. And finally, JDG call his bluff. Monki has been bluffing at JDG in so many of these fights. And most of the time, Erha has been there to buy him the space and allow him to get away with it. This time, doesn't happen, and it means now we have the Chemtech Dragon spawning in 22 seconds. Karis is only barely going to be alive by that point.
And he doesn't have a teleport, took Ghost as a part of his Summoner Spell inventory, which means he'll have to run all the way from base to try to deny a soul point for a 3rd time on JDG's side. They're going to get here first, start this one up. Xiaoxu using the teleport just to get the extra shield. They know that this 5v5 could mean the difference between this game going one way or the other. Realm Warp already in from Karis. They're looking to dive onto HongQ. They find the Anivia. They crack the egg, but he will not go down just yet. Still a lot of damage being issued by WE, who finally gang up as 5 and deliver a team fight win. It will be everybody but one getting taken down by the side of Team WE. Gala takes down Erha, but it's not going to matter if he can't get back to base. He issues a teleport and has a lot of wave clear, Melvin. He's going to try to save this game for now, but the pillar lands from Monki. They're going to try to run him down at this point. Piercing arrow still not going to connect. Gala has a lot of health and still a lot of mana to work with, and it's 15 seconds until Vampire respawns. Gala flashes away once again. There's no minions left as another wave is about to get escorted underneath both of the Nexus turrets. 8 seconds on Vampire. Will Gala be able to save the game? I don't think so. It's about flashes forward and shuts him down with a piercing arrow. The Nexus is exposed, and Team WE once again open their season with a win over JD Gaming.
As is typical for a WE win, a stressful experience the whole way through. But they were able to push it over the line, and that is exactly what we want to see from this team to keep up the strength that they showed at the end of last split, trying to prove it's not a fluke. Guys, don't talk to us if we're playing against TES, but outside of that, we're the real deal.
Really, that team has been their kryptonite so far, because against some of these other squads, were not too bad for Team WE. Remember, they opened their season / snapped their massive loss streak in split number 2 against JDG. That was like after 16 straight losses, right?
Yep.
This time it's after 2. And I think, to me, at least for now, it's proof that this WE is kind of more like the playoff WE than the regular season WE that we saw.
At very least on the sheer execution level of what we just watched there. That was from literal minute 1. It was 1 minute on the clock when Monki is going for the first blood play. And that is just some good planning from WE to bait JDG into that situation, punish HongQ, and at that point, the Anivia, without summoners, without egg, has to just forfeit the early part of the lane phase, at which point she can normally bully Rise quite a bit between the wall and the queue, and enable Erha to go for ganks, but when you have to play so far back, what are you supposed to do? You don't get to exert the pressure, and that's... Losing pressure in the mid lane means that Monki could go wherever he wants.
And that is generally a winning formula for Team WE. Monki getting his trundle, getting out to that early lead. Perhaps we questioned if the gold was in the right place, but it's always in the right place if it's Monki who is carrying that lead. He was able to do so much with that advantage. JunJia had opportunities alongside Vampire to go for plays himself, but he never felt as impactful as Monki on the trundle, and that was a big reason as to how WE was able to win this game off the back of those skirmishes, and it turned into really solid team fights down the line.
But you gotta look at that gold lead. There was a good amount of time where JDG were just stalling out the map, and I was getting worried that WE weren't going to pull the trigger. They were just going to lose the same way that AL did in Game 1 yesterday by not going for it. I was clearly wrong, and I'm very glad to be wrong, because even more so than AL, this WE team needs to be accelerating every game they are in. That is where they thrive, and that is why champions like Trundle need to be thought about, even in a Game 1 of Fearless. If you are giving Monki a champion that can exert pressure from level 1, you need to be severely, severely worried about your jungler's ability to play the game.
And Monki 8-3-12 at the end of that one as we take a look at some of these highlights. Man, it's good to feel like WE and that miracle run, that magic that we saw in the Split 2 playoffs. It's not over just yet. They're still a pretty good team, and they're still putting up solid performances. Obviously, time will tell how this will continue, but a very good start against a team that we're expecting to be towards the top of the table in JDG.
And again, I'm gonna just go ahead and remind everybody, Monki's probably getting MVP for this game. Erha really does deserve some respect on his name, because the Alistair was essential, starting off so many of these plays, and if you watch, this was the formula. Erha goes in and wastes time, while Monki is just ravaging JunJia almost every single time. I really hope we get to see the clip of the fight outside of JDG's base, because Monki just runs up and stands on top of the blast cone, and JunJia doesn't do the toggle to be able to hit blast cone, so he is just standing there as Trundle is ravaging him with 3 people of JDG right there in like auto attack range. I think this is it. Yes, there we go. Just what? He's just standing there.
Hey, can't use the blast cone if you're standing right on top of it. Your big fat body won't be able to allow that to be hit. And this was a bit of a questionable decision as well. I think JDG had opportunities to get back into this game. It was not the cleanest of clean from Team WE. It never is, right? That's kind of just the nature of how this team ends up functioning. But JDG weren't able to capitalize on those mistakes as much as maybe we were hoping for them to do.
This was one of those times that they very much did. And they needed to do it more often, because Monki was playing like Monki. If you are not respecting him, then he's going to punish you. But you have to make sure that you're not over-respecting him. Moments like this, you need to respect him, because there's a Cassandre right there for him to ult and basically go invulnerable. If Cassandre's not in range, it's just a Trundle. So, a lot to think about for JDG when they go back to the drawing board for Game 2. As far as adaptations go, I need to see JunJia on a better early game jungler, and we need to be playing safer at level 1, because HongQ getting caught like that can't happen against this team in particular.
It all started from that level 1. That gave Monki his first kill. It allowed for Karis to be in a more even state in that game, where traditionally we are favoring HongQ over Karis in an individual 1v1, and the mid jungle not able to connect for JDG after that play went south. So locking things up, cleaning things up will be important for JD Gaming if they want to try to even this series up and make sure that they're not down 0-2 to open up their season. Would be a little bit unfortunate for them, and potentially put some questions into the air on how this team is going to be able to perform down the line here in the Split 3 regular season. We're waiting for our player of the game. It is Monki on the Trundle, but as we said, Melvin, got to give some shout-outs to Erha on the Alistar.
Yeah, this is the surprise of absolutely no one. I'm mainly just curious what the vote spread is going to look like if we get to see that, because, again, he did deserve it. There is a reason that you get the MVP when you play like that. It just, it feels important to make sure that we remember that WE is a team that only works because the squad follows Monki so well. They know to just go forward with him. And if you're not all making the same play, even when it's the wrong play, something goes wrong. It's being all on the same page that matters, and it is 100% over to Monki. Fair enough, but we've given enough flowers over to Erha for this game. I'm sure he'll do plenty to deserve it in the future. As for the rest of the squad, I would say it was a relatively quiet game from About. He was playing the ADC role, and was the victim of a lot of JDG's counterattacks, but it didn't really result in much. Gala got a lot of gold, but it didn't matter when there was a Trundle going at him at Mach 9, and then Alistair just throwing him in the air, pretty much.
Yeah, shout out to Cube on the Rumble as well. Thought he had a pretty solid game in his own right, as Monki ends up leading his team once again to a Game 1 victory over JDG. Going to take a short break here on LPL English. When we come back, we'll see if Team WE can complete that sweep, or if